It starts with a headline you can't ignore. A leaked tape. A late night scroll. A million comments arguing over a clip most people haven't even seen. Names get pulled in. Timelines get mashed together. Suddenly, the internet has a brand new verdict on a story it never fully understood the first time. Here's the honest part nobody likes to say out loud. Rumor travels faster than receipts, especially when the rumor is a remix of old drama that never got closure. That's why this one burns. People remember a messy beginning. They remember a letter. They remember a family that looked different by the end of the decade than it did at the start. And whenever someone whispers that the past is repeating itself, boom, everything reignites. So let's break it down without the theatrical smoke. What was actually said? What was denied? Why did the story refuse to die? And what, if anything, exists beyond the algorithm's need for chaos? Because the internet loves a scandal, but it also loves being wrong in the loudest possible voice. We're not here to crown a villain. We're here to separate signal from noise and understand why this narrative keeps boomeranging back into the feed. Buckle up. This ride has sharp turns, but the first twist might not be what you expect.
So I don't have a problem with you, Lala, and your husband.
Oh.
Whoa. Okay, all right, so wait, backstory.
Okay, good.
Because I held this in for an entire year, right? So when we first launched the reunion show, somebody that claims to be working in Swizz's camp reached out to me in what I now know is a DM via direct messenger, right? Saying, I work for Swizz and I need you to know that him and Lala have been having an affair. They are madly in love with each other, but he has already told Lala and continues to tell her, calm down, I'm not leaving my wife. If you don't believe me, go on his page on IG. He always starts leaving comments in the morning and she be the first one to respond. But she don't just leave one response. She keeps it going and going and going to the point where he says, you got to chill because it's starting to look obvious to my wife. So I said, who are you and why are you giving this information to me? God, I love you. Thank you so much. Bless.
A tape is the perfect bait. It sounds final. It sounds undeniable. It's the word you use when you want people to believe there's proof without actually showing proof. The claim hits, the stitches multiply, and the platform does the rest. Suddenly, the entire timeline shifts into detective mode, replaying the same 5 seconds of a grainy screenshot that no one can confirm. That's the trick. Say leaked, say caught, and let the chorus fill in the rest. But zoom out for a second. If something is as explosive as people insist, credible confirmation shows up quickly.
Not around with Swizz and not breaking up happy homes. Like, people are forgetting when she moved into Swizz and them's house to work on the music with him, he was still married to his wife, living in that same house. And then she moved in while she was cool with the wife. It's plotting to steal her husband to cover up the fact that she's in and she had just got caught beating that girlfriend of hers up down there in Aruba somewhere or something like that.
It's not hard to imagine why it hasn't. Unverified clips, recycled captions, and accounts with more incentive to farm outrage than to verify anything. Meanwhile, every time the story gets retold, the edges get sharper and the dates get fuzzier, because that's how viral telephone works. It's great for watch time. It's terrible for the truth. None of this means people are perfect. It means the internet loves a shortcut. Tape means we don't have to ask hard questions. We can outsource nuance to a mystery file that might not exist. The moment you accept that, the rumor loses half its power. The other half comes from history, and that's where things start to heat up. Because this didn't come out of nowhere. It came out of 2021. Back in 2021, a radio voice tossed a match into dry grass. The claim wasn't a report. It wasn't evidence. It was exactly the kind of on-air I heard that tease designed to make social media do the heavy lifting. And it did. The internet spun up a plot in minutes. Secret messages, coded emojis, timelines pasted together like a collage. The rumor wasn't new proof. It was a new excuse to re-argue the past with updated names. Here's what made 2021 different. The denial came fast. There wasn't a week of silence, no comment. It was immediate and blunt. It also came with a little symbolism, pointing at a song title that just happened to share a name with one of the people in the rumor, underscoring the message. Not her, not that, not happening. For anyone looking for the grown-up version of Stop It, that was it. But denials don't go viral the way accusations do. A straight "that's not true" is a whisper compared to a megaphone shouting exposed. Plus, algorithm math favors anything spicy. So the claim kept ricocheting around, mutating into captions like proof, and finally confirmed, and it's over. Not because new facts landed, because the story had a familiar scent and people recognized it. And that scent leads straight back to an era that still divides the comments. Everyone who clicks on today's rumor remembers yesterday's burn. Years ago, a public letter lit up the timeline. It wasn't a blind item. It wasn't rumor. It was a first-person account of heartbreak, overlap, and the pain of watching your family rearrange itself in real time. That letter didn't just call out names. It drew lines in the sand. People picked a side and never moved. That's the part most timelines skip. Memory has gravity. Once the internet decides a relationship started in chaos, any new whisper sticks to it like Velcro. Even if the dates are debated, even if the people involved moved on, healed, and built something new, the memory of that letter is a pin in the map. Every rumor since gets plotted around it, no matter how far-fetched. This isn't about relitigating a decade-old fight. It's about understanding the shadows those years cast. The open letter era didn't end with a neat bow. It ended with real people doing the hard and unglamorous work of co-parenting, blending households, and choosing public peace over public war. Which brings us to the pivot nobody expected at the time. Because after the wildfire came something quieter, and a lot of people didn't know how to process it. Fast forward, the same names that once headlined a feud sat side by side and talked about scheduling, holidays, and fairness for a kid who deserved more than grown-up grudges. There were pictures that looked domestic, not dramatic. There were interviews about how to blend. For a moment, the internet saw something rare. People growing up under a spotlight and making room at the table. Some viewers saw a genuine reset. Others saw strategy, a public relations pivot designed to sand down the edges of the past. The truth most likely lives somewhere human, part heart, part optics. Because blended families require both real forgiveness and a little stagecraft to keep the narrative from spiraling every time a camera clicks. And for a while it worked. The temperature dropped. The comments softened. The story turned from chaos to choreography. That's why the new rumor hits nerves. It dares the timeline to believe that nothing changed, that the peace was a pose, that the quiet was a calm surface over the same old storm. Whether that's fair or not doesn't matter once a hashtag catches. What matters is how quickly the internet forgets that healing is allowed. And messy beginnings don't always predict messy endings. But the latest rumor adds a new name. And that name comes with its own history. Lala Anthony's life has never exactly been low-key. A high-profile marriage, on and off separations, a filing that made news, and a personal story told in her own words. When your timeline unfolds under a magnifying glass, people start stitching you into other people's narratives, whether you ask for it or not. That's what happened here. Her name made convenient connective tissue. The internet loves symmetry. It saw one marriage changing shape over there and another going through turbulence over here, and decided they must be related. It's tidy. It's clickable. It's also how innocent proximity gets mistaken for plot. In reality, two separate lives can be complicated at the same time without touching. But the rumor machine thrives on overlap, not nuance. So overnight, Lala became the stand-in for every suspicion people still held from years past. There's a reason creators default to her name when they need a hook. She trends. She speaks plainly. She's unafraid to say where things went wrong in her own story. That visibility makes her a magnet for cross-traffic. And when the 2021 Radio Spark tried to connect her to someone else's unresolved drama, it fit neatly into the internet's need for a sequel. The fact that no verified proof ever surfaced didn't slow the train. It just made the captions louder. Which brings us to the present tense, the part with the fewest rumors and the most receipts. There's a difference between whispers and what the public can watch with their own eyes. Years down the line, the couple at the center of this storm has continued to show up. Anniversaries, family milestones, work that intersects. Whatever private negotiations and boundaries exist behind closed doors, the visible picture is of two people still in orbit, not hiding in separate corners. That doesn't prove anyone is flawless. It proves something simpler. The loudest accusation of a secret tape has never crossed the line from comment section rumor to established fact. Meanwhile, the day-to-day life the public sees, events together, projects shared, moments captured, keeps rolling. The gap between there must be a tape and here is actual life happening stays wide, and that gap matters. Because if the internet had the smoking gun it claims, we'd be talking about more than a whisper network. What we're left with is a familiar dynamic. The past colors the present. The present resists being reduced to the past. And every few months, the rumor gets a fresh coat of paint from an account you've never heard of until today. The only thing all sides can agree on? People pay attention. Attention is a currency. And nothing spends like a potential scandal. So why does this loop never end? The answer isn't in any clip. It's in us. Scandal is a social sport. It lets us project, judge, forgive, and relive our own history by proxy. But there's also code beneath the feelings. Platforms reward content that triggers. Leaked, exposed, caught. Those words are accelerants. Even if the video is 10 seconds of nothing, the caption does the heavy lifting. The more a rumor spikes, the more it's fed to people who already click similar stories, and suddenly it's everywhere, which we confuse with true. Parasocial bonds make it worse. Listeners grew up with these artists. They soundtrack breakups and first apartments and late-night drives. So when a relationship between two famous people tilts, it's personal. Fans use the story to make sense of their own chapters. Betrayal, forgiveness, rebuilding. That's why the open letter era never fully cooled. It gave millions of people a mirror. Mirrors are hard to put down. Confirmation bias does the final job. If you decided years ago that the origin story was dirty, then every new rumor feels like proof. If you decided it was a misunderstood timeline with two people who found each other after their old lives cracked, then every rumor feels like noise. Social feeds shorten our patience for anything that doesn't reinforce the angle we already chose. And so the loop loops. Here's the secret the algorithm won't tell you. The most suspicious thing in most rumor storms is how perfectly the story fits what we already think. Real life is rarely that neat. Real life is awkward, contradictory, and dull between headlines. Real life requires sentences longer than a caption, which leads to the only question that matters every time this story resurfaces. Let's line it up clean. The tape remains a rumor. Loud, persistent, convenient, but unverified. The 2021 spark that supercharged this narrative came with an immediate denial. The older chapter, the one that welded itself to everyone's memory, is part of the record and always will be. It explains the side-eye. It explains the eagerness to believe a sequel might be playing out behind the scenes. But explanation isn't confirmation. At the same time, the visible present tense hasn't matched the disaster story the rumor predicts. The couple at the center has kept moving forward in public, choosing celebration over meltdown, showing up together instead of staging a Cold War by caption. Maybe that's resilience. Maybe it's optics. Maybe it's both. People are complex. Public relationships even more so. Anyone who's ever tried to build a blended family knows the difference between a fairy tale and a calendar full of logistics. So here's the angle that respects the human beings under the headlines. Assume less, watch more, and remember that the algorithm profits when we stop making that distinction. When we turn famous strangers into characters, we forget the parts of the story that happen off camera. Boundaries, therapy, second chances, and the choice to be boring on purpose, because peace beats drama 10 out of 10 times. It's not a thrilling ending. It's a grown one. But if you're still here for a twist, try this one. The bigger plot isn't whether a secret file exists. It's whether public love can survive private growth in an age that confuses virality with reality. Maybe the win isn't proving a rumor false. Maybe it's refusing to let a recycled headline decide who you are this time. The internet loves a villain. It loves a hero even more. But most of us aren't either. We're people trying to do better than last year. That includes celebrities with messy beginnings and carefully curated middles. A rumor can be trending by noon and debunked by lunch, but the comments live forever. That's the tax of attention. It's also a choice ours. So if you walked in certain and you're leaving unsure, that's progress. Doubt is healthy. It keeps you from treating gossip like gospel. It reminds you that sometimes the quiet truth is that nothing dramatic is happening at all. Just a couple navigating life, a co-parenting system that took work, and a chorus of strangers who keep demanding a sequel. Maybe there is no sequel. Maybe the lesson is simpler. No matter how loud a rumor gets, it still owes you proof. And until proof shows up, the wisest move might be to believe in the people you chose to follow for their music, not their mistakes. And let the algorithm starve the next time it dangles a leaked anything with nothing behind it. Who do you think's gonna be the next person in the limelight? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to get the latest celebrity news and updates. I'll see y'all on the next one.